Hello, everyone. My name is Leisha Chiari, and I am a mentoring coach at the Canada InfoNet pre-arrival program at JVS Toronto. Canada InfoNet is a free program offered to internationally trained professionals who are approved for immigration but are not yet in Canada. We offer employment support and industry-specific mentoring connections in their province of arrival. We are here today with Philippa Ngaju, a previous Canada InfoNet participant. Philippa arrived in Calgary, Alberta in September 2021 and was able to secure a job in just 4 days of arrival. She is working as a health innovation specialist at the University of Calgary and is here to share her story to help and inspire others. Welcome, Philippa. Thank you so much for accepting to be here today.
Thank you for having me, Leisha.
Thank you. So I'm going to start with a question about the province that you landed. You went to Alberta. Why did you choose Alberta?
I had previously done my undergraduate degree at the University of Alberta. I did a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, and at the time I finished, there was a recession, so I decided to go back home. But then I ended up staying back home for quite a while, and then I was thinking of immigrating back to Canada. And also I have a sister who lives in Calgary, so I do have family here, so that was also very helpful. And in general, the cost of living in Alberta is quite affordable in comparison to other provinces. So those were my key reasons why I came to Alberta.
Oh, thank you for sharing. So many different reasons that can factor into that choice, right? Family connections or personal connections is definitely something to take into consideration, cost of living, and you even had the experience of living in the province, so that's really great. How about your job search process? Because 4 days to get a job offer in 4 days is really extraordinary. So can you tell us a little bit how that process was? What were your main challenges that you had to overcome?
Yes, well, it was 4 days of arriving, but there's a bit of background behind that. I first landed last year in July, and it was during the pandemic. So I ended up staying here for about 2.5 months. And at that time, I slowly started my job search, but my resume and cover letter were not tailored for the Canadian job market. Initially, I thought of teaching roles, and I actually got a small part-time job doing remote instruction for grade 4 to grade 9 students teaching Arduino. So I kept that job, but I returned back home because I still had to finalize some things back home, as well as wrap up my old job position before I moved permanently. So this year, at the beginning of January, I discovered Canada InfoNet, and I got in touch with them. I was excited that there were resources out there that were free for professional immigrants so that we could better tailor our resume and essentially do a very strategic search for employment, and that was very helpful. I would say the biggest challenge was trying to understand the industry where I could apply my skills. You have to be very strategic and obviously do your research on yourself so that you're able to identify very key skills and education backgrounds so that you can meet the criteria and be competitive with other candidates that are here. So my background is quite specialized. So the pool of jobs to search from was very narrow. So I would say that was a very big challenge. My background is biomedical engineering, and I was mostly designing medical devices for low resource settings in a research institute back home in my country in Uganda. So those are very specialized skills. So I could either fit in the regulatory medical device industry or academia. So I'd say that was one of the challenges. The next one was networking online and trying to secure information or interviews. When you have people who have no idea of your background or your work ethic, it's really difficult to get your foot in the door. But eventually, with pairing with a mentor really helped a lot because he had a network of people that I could potentially talk to and also to practice for interviews. So that was also very particularly helpful.
That's awesome. We're going to talk about the mentorship in a little bit. I just wanted to dig a little bit deeper on what you just told me, because some people might think that because you had this experience of having a connection with Canada already, that you wouldn't need services like Canada InfoNet, let's say, and you said that you even landed before you found out about pre-arrival services, right? And for the folks out there who are watching us, landing means Philippa arrived and became a permanent resident, but she stayed temporarily and then left the country. And now she came to stay, hopefully, right? What was it that showed you that you needed a little bit of extra help on your job search?
Yes. I think the first thing was I knew Canada from the perspective of a university student, which is totally different than the workforce. My sister did give me some insights. At least she works here, but she's in the architecture field. But she did give me some insights that it's very different than, just studying. And I'm very open to feedback and to, learning new processes. So I just decided to take a step back and see if there were resources out there so that I could, have better results, because I was applying to a couple of places, but not getting any feedback. So I knew there must be something that's, that I can improve on. Maybe I can get some feedback and support.
That's great, and you achieved your goals by doing that. So like you mentioned, you were also able to participate in our mentoring, which is part of our program, right? Mentoring is one of the components of Canada InfoNet. And you were matched with a mentor through our partner agency, CRIEC, which is Calgary Region Immigrant Employment Council, which is in Calgary, Alberta. So through our partner agencies, we are able to match participants with mentors in a specific province. So can you tell us what did you like the most about this experience of having a mentor that was in the province that you are going to arrive?
So initially I did the modules with Canada InfoNet, and they were helpful to have a basic overview. But if you really needed that very detailed feedback, especially in your experience field and also looking at the kind of industry you want to get into, the having a mentor paired with me was extremely helpful. I think that was really the last mile that really helped me lock in some of those interviews. I did about 3 interviews in total, with the third one being the successful one. But we went through step by step, looking at my skills that were transferable, really going into detail with how I could improve on my resume and make it targeted for each of the jobs that I was looking for. And also a cover letter that was very descriptive, not really regurgitating whatever you've written in your resume, but really highlighting what value you could bring to the organization. And I think that was very insightful. Also, the practice interviews that I did with my mentor, we did a lot of mock interviews, just understanding Canadians are fairly laid back. You don't have to be so uptight. Maybe there might be some jokes, or maybe just, what you're interested in. So just helping me to adjust, to that process, but also being professional so that I could relay and give my best skills, put my best skills more or less on the table so that I could be marketable to the employers.
That's great to hear. It sounds like a very fruitful partnership. So I think I know the answer for my next question, but would you say that having a mentor at the pre-arrival stage, how did that impact your process, your job search process?
I would say it was possibly one of the most impactful parts of the program. Also, the one-on-one I had with my employment specialist. However, I couldn't have more than one session to really iron out some of those nitty-gritty details. But having a mentor that was available dedicated quite a bit of time, which I really appreciate because I do understand it's a voluntary service. It was quite humbling. But just having someone to give me those insights and to guide me was extremely helpful.
That's great to hear. And to wrap up, if you could give only one tip for those who are coming to Canada and looking for their first job, what would it be?
Okay, I have many tips, but I'll try and think of just one. I would say one of the most important things is to really understand the industry that applies to your background, because it's quite a competitive job market. I applied to many places and it was only a few that got back to me. So if you can identify the best skills that you can bring to the table and also explain to your potential employer what value you can bring to the organization in terms of your international experience, it would really set you apart from some of the other candidates.
That's great. Thank you so much, Philippa. Do you want to add anything before we close this? I know you said you had many tips, so if you have anything else that you want to highlight, feel free.
Yes, I think maybe just two more tips. I think sometimes when you're very highly trained, a lot of the immigrant professionals either have masters or PhDs. I have a master's in biomedical engineering. Sometimes it's difficult for you to listen to feedback where you have to more or less start from scratch in terms of the way you understand things. So just being very open to feedback. And I think the most important one of all is to be very patient and just to keep at it.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Being an immigrant as well, I know it can be tough, but that's what organizations like JVS Toronto through Canada InfoNet and CRIEC and many others are here to help us, right, to learn how to navigate this. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We wish you all the best in your new position and your new life in Canada. And we hope to see you here in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.